When you are in the container aisle of the dollar store, pick up a couple of white wire shelves. Flip one shelf upside down and lay the second shelf on top, overlapping about a third of the shelf. Now take some zip ties and connect the shelves together. Be sure to pull tight on the zip ties so the shelves are securely tied to each other. Remove the rubber tips from the ends of the shelves. Grab each arm on the shelves and bend them from their 90-degree angle to about a 45-degree angle. Next, give the entire shelf unit a coat of spray paint. This is the perfect shelf caddy for holding rolled up hand towels and washcloths. Grab a short glass container with a screw-on lid. Take a large marble and glue it to the center of the lid. Next, spray paint both the glass container and the screw-on lid. To style your new jar, take a small wood cutting board from the kitchen and use it as a tray to hold the jar and other beauty products. Head to the garden section, grab one of their metal French garden buckets. Give the entire bucket several light coats of overspray with some white spray paint. Take a black paint pen. Once you get a feel for how much pressure to apply, start to outline the bottom rim of the bucket with the paint pen. Let that dry, and then start to outline the lettering on the bucket. Once the letters have dried, outline the top rim of the bucket. Next, take some old drawer knobs and glue the knob to the bottom of the bucket. Style on a bathroom counter beside a sink by filling with hand soap and paper hand towels.
When I saw the bottle of mouthwash on the countertop, I knew this was the perfect way to add a little luxury to my bathroom and get rid of that ugly mouthwash bottle. Next up, I decided to stamp my toilet paper rolls. First, I want to run the tap a little bit so there's just some water left over that I'm going to use. Then I just touch the area near the tip to the tap, and the water will make a beautiful seal. As it dries, it keeps the folded paper in place and makes everything look so much nicer. Finally, I want to do something with the towels. To fold the large ones, I lay them flat, then I want to fold the sides over towards the middle. I then need to simply fold it in half, and then I can place it over the bar. If I want something a little different though, I can lay the towel face down, and before I fold in the sides, I want to make an extra fold to the side I want showing. This is going to create a little pocket when I turn it over and fold the towel in half. I'm going to slip the smaller towel right over the larger ones, and then I'm going to slip a few of these flower stems into the pocket.
Bathrooms can become disheveled and disorganized, but today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my top bathroom hacks. So first up, bar of soap gets very messy on the counter. So I'm going to take my soap dish and I'm going to fill it with some river rocks that I got at my local dollar store. Next up, I'm going to show you a cute way to dress up your toilet paper roll. So you're going to rip off one sheet and then two sheets that are attached together. And then you're going to take the end and you're going to just fold it into a triangle. So this is the very end piece that's still attached to our roll. And you can see here I've just folded it under. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to just very gently poke two holes. And then you're going to go ahead and with the one square that you ripped off, you're just going to fold it into a little roll here. And then with the two pieces that are still attached together, you're going to fold them over each other, and then you're going to use your fingers to pinch them down into the middle, and you're going to make a bow shape. Then you're going to take the piece that you took off and rolled up, and you're going to wrap it around to make a bow, and you're just going to slide it through those two holes that you ripped into the toilet paper, and then wrap it around the back. Another sore spot in the bathroom is hand towels, so I just fold the towel over 2 times, and then I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to fold it the other way vertically. So I'm going to take these ends and I'm just going to fold them into the middle on each side, and then once I've done that, I'm going to fold the towel in half, and then what you'll see here is that I have a neat little pocket here, and then I can lay this over my towel rack. Now for my washcloth, I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to fold it accordion style, and then this is going to make a nice little fan that's going to sit in the pocket. If you want to roll your washcloths like they do at a spa, I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you start with a square washcloth and you grab 2 of the pointy ends and you fold them into the middle, and then you flip it over and just fold it back 3/4 of the way, and then begin to roll your washcloth. And then when you'll see here, you have a little pocket here that you can tuck the tail into, and this holds them nice and tight.
Grab some 2x2s to increase your bathroom storage in a few easy steps. I cut 4 2x2s to 6 feet each and cut 6 to 19 inches, and I cut another 6 to 4 inches each. I sanded all the boards, then used my Craig jig to drill pocket holes in each side of the smallest 2x2. I secured the 4-inch boards to the 19-inch boards with pocket screws and wood glue, and used a countersink bit to pre-drill the long 2x2 to the rectangle frame. I filled the screw holes with wood filler on the front side only and sanded the excess off smooth once dry. I wiped, cleaned, and painted the frame. While that was drying, I sanded cedar 1x6 boards, ripped them down to size, and sealed them with 2 coats of polyurethane. I used a brad nailer to secure the cedar boards to the top of each rectangle base and slid the shelf over my toilet.
I found this door on Facebook Marketplace and it was finally time to put it to use. The first step was to remove my existing bathroom door. After measuring my new door, I purchased a 1x8 to act as my header. We leveled it off and bolted it to 4 studs. Securing the track was easy as the barn door kit I ordered from Amazon came with everything I needed. After the track was hung, we drilled 4 holes into the top of the door, attached the hanging brackets, and secured them with the included bolts. To finish it off, I added some privacy cling film since this is a bathroom after all. This was super easy to use as it bonds to glass with just water.
I wanted to give this wall behind a toilet a feature without spending money. We'd recently changed the flooring and I had 1 box of luxury vinyl plank flooring left over. I started with the first plank at the top of the wall. I made sure it was level. I continued attaching pieces and securing them with the nail gun. At the bottom, I cut the plank so that it wouldn't interfere with the water line. The wall was looking great, but I needed to work on the trim pieces at the end. Since there were leftover materials lying around, I bought some L brackets and attached them to the 1x4 pieces. I then set these where I wanted them on the wall, made sure they were level, and attached them. I ran down to the hardware store and picked up 2 sheets of beadboard. Then I measured and cut the beadboard down to size using a table saw. I attached it to the wall with my nail gun. It took no time at all. The next step was to add a wood border to the top. I used very inexpensive common board. Then I painted the top of it before attaching it to the wall. When I attached the board, there was a small gap between the wood and beadboard, but it was easy to fill this gap using paintable caulking. Once that dried, I got started with painting. In order to finish off my beadboard accent, I added hooks.
So I went to the dollar store and I bought 3 bags of those vase filler gems. After sorting them, I washed them off using Blue Dawn and water and then laid them out to dry. I drew lines from the edge of the vanity to meet the mirror line. I applied a thin coat of mastic using a small notched trowel. Then the fun began as I pressed the gems into the mastic. I worked in small sections so the mastic wouldn't dry too quickly. Once I was done, I mixed the grout. I mixed 1 cup of grout to a half a cup of water. I applied the grout in small sections, making sure I was pushing it between each of the gems. I wanted to make sure that every spot was filled in between them. After 1 hour, I checked again, and yep, it was nice and dry. Using a large spun and plain water, I washed away all of the excess grout. I removed the painter's tape that I had placed on the top of the vanity and applied caulk, smoothing it out with my finger.
Next time you're at Dollar Tree, head to their craft aisle and grab 10 floral foam rings, a pizza pan from the kitchen aisle. So to begin your project, you want to take some Gorilla Construction adhesive and you want to spread it around on one of the rings. Then you're going to take another ring and you're going to line up the edges and you're going to place it on top, making sure that it's completely centered. You're then going to continue this process working with all the rings, stacking them on top of each other with a layer of adhesive in between. Once you have all your rings stacked together and you do your very last ring, you just come in with a foam brush or a paintbrush and smooth out any of the construction adhesive that is oozed out in between the rings and just smooth it around. Then you're going to take your pizza pan and you can take any spray paint you want. I have an appliance epoxy and you're going to spray the pizza pan. While that is drying, I took some Mod Podge and I sprayed on the foam rings and then I rolled it in the dirt. I did this because I wanted one of those stone texture spray paints, but when I went to the craft aisle, the price of the stone spray paint was very expensive. So I thought I could recreate this on my own with a little bit of loose gravel and some Mod Podge. To get the desired color that I wanted, I then spray painted the entire thing with some modern mint in Rust-Oleum. So I spray painted a couple coats because it was seeping in through the gravel. So I did working in sections, so I would spray paint, let it dry, and then I would do a second coat because the gravel was soaking up a little bit of the paint. But this is a cheaper alternative than to using that expensive stone spray paint. Once it was dry, I took my construction adhesive again, and then I glued my pizza pan onto the top, making sure that it was centered, and I let this set and dry overnight. When completed, here is my gorgeous little side table for my porch. Upon completing my project, I did wish that I would use some more of the rings to give it a little bit more height, but for my porch, it did work okay. I just boosted it up on a little box, but I may come back in and add some more tubes just to make it a little bit higher. But I really hope that this project has inspired you to get creative with things that you can find at Dollar Tree to make an adorable modern side table for your porch. I love how it gives it almost this like concrete look on the floral tubes, but with a modern mint flair. Thank you so much for tuning into Hometalk, and we'll see you on another video.
My wife has always been wanting some more storage space in the laundry room. I need some 1x8s and 1x3s. Then I need to measure in between the washer and dryer to get the width. And then I need to get the height. So let's start measuring and cutting boards. Once we get the front and the back cut, these are the longer boards, we're going to put the bottom on. I like to use my little brad nailer. We're going to put the middle shelf on. Now, every shelf is going to need a little barrier to keep everything in. We're going to put those on the inside. Once I put that first side piece in on the bottom shelf, I'm going to turn it over, then I'm going to put the next one on. Once we get that on the bottom, we're going to put some wheels. Now for the top, that's the last board we got. We're going to put a hinge on the back. Once we get that hinge on, look at that, I've got a little hiding shelf right there. So run some 80 grit, then up to 220, run it up and down the sides and make it look nice, and then you can either paint or put your favorite stain on.
We're going to quickly sweep the floor, and we're going to sand the floor with some 220 sandpaper. We're going to clean the floor with TSP, trisodium phosphate. Okay, I've got my Wise Owl stain eliminating primer. I'm using a dense foam roller so I give a real smooth finish. Okay, we let our primer dry overnight. We're ready for our base coats. We're going to be applying 2 coats of Wise Owl 1 Hour Enamel Antique Villa, and now I'm going to mask off the baseboards. I'm going to use a little spray adhesive on this stencil. Center your stencil on the tile. Because my tile floor has a slight texture to it, I'm choosing to use a brush. It's going to give me a tighter edge than using a roller. It's time to pull the masking tape, do a few touch-ups, and apply 3 coats of top coat to protect this beautiful floor. I'll be using Wise Owl 1 Hour Enamel Clear Satin as my top coat.
Grab some cheap plastic bins from your local Dollar Tree. Take your bins outside and spray paint them thoroughly. I used a nice metallic copper color for them. Now grab some thick rope, string, or twine to place on the bottom of the bins. Using hot glue, attach the rope to the bottom of the bin for a more elevated look.
I've got a laundry problem. Too much to do and nowhere to store it. So I'm going to head down to my hardware store and I'm going to grab some good lumber. We're going to mark them, then I'm going to cut them. We're going to set 2 of these legs aside, take these 2 legs, separate them, and then we're going to start building a box. As you can see, I'm going to use glue, put the board on top, and I'm just going to use little brad nails to hold it in place. And then once we get the 2 sides built, we're going to measure the basket, build the top and the bottom, again using the 1x3s. As you can see, the box is starting to form. Now it's time to build the top. Again, using 1x3s on the top, I'm going to do 5 of these. Now it's time to build the racks and the sliders that the baskets will go on. I'm going to put some glue down again along the sides. We'll put this in place again with glue and using the brad nails to hold it in place. See that little bevel I put on the side? That's so it doesn't catch the basket. This is where we can put little letterings or signs on. Using the brad nail, hold it in place. It's time to sand. I've got a secret. We're not going to use stain on this. I'm going to use something different, but don't be intimidated. We're going to use a torch. That's right. We're going to burn this wood and give it a special look.
Run on over to the Dollar Tree and grab one of these blue baskets. What can you do if you don't have enough cabinet space? Grabbed a ruler and I'm marking where exactly I want each of these bins to go on my wall. Now for stability, you can choose exactly how you'd like to adhere these baskets to your wall, adding 2 screws to each basket or possibly 4. Now that all the baskets are up, it's time to load them up. While I was at the dollar store, I grabbed one of these over the cabinet door hangers and they hook nicely into the holes onto the baskets. For this hack, you're going to need some hooks. I'm going to grab some bins that I found at the dollar store and I'm going to hook them onto the hook. So now I can separate out my darks from my whites. I'm going to take an over-the-door hanging rack and I'm going to hook it over the top of my door. This is perfect for ironing boards. I'm going to grab my iron and I'm also going to hook it onto the over-the-door hanging rack. And it doesn't take any cabinet or counter space or shelf space.
I'm not a fan of doing laundry, and when it comes to folding clean clothing, there's not enough room in my laundry room. I began by cutting 1 by 12 inch pine to make the storage cabinet. I made the outside box first. I used a Craig jig to make pocket holes to join my pieces together. This, along with wood glue, would keep everything in place. I measured for my shelves, marking and cutting them to fit, and screwed them in place. Now that the cabinet was made, it was time to make the table. I used 1/2 inch MDF, which I measured and cut to size. I attached a piece of 1 by 2 to the bottom of the MDF with glue and brads. I also made the legs for the table out of 1 by 2s. I painted the entire cabinet gray using paint from another project. For the back of the table, I used chalkboard paint and applied 2 coats. When it was dry, I flipped the table over and applied wallpaper to the other side. This would be my tabletop. To attach the table to the cabinet, I used a piano hinge. I screwed it to the wallpaper side of the tabletop and the bottom front of the cabinet. I used another hinge and attached it to the top of the blackboard side and to the top of the legs. For the back of the cabinet, I attached a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. The cabinet was very heavy, so I used a French cleat as my hanger. There are 2 pieces, and 1 screws into the back of the cabinet, and then 1 screwed into the wall. Where I wanted to place the cabinet, there were no studs available, so I drilled holes and put in plastic anchors. To keep the table attached to the cabinet, I fastened a heavy-duty magnet to the front.
grab a can of black spray paint and a roll of rattan webbing. Grab one of those outdoor folding metal tables. Clean it up with water and vinegar. Cut some paper and tape to the table so only the frame shows. Give the frame a fresh coat of black spray paint and let it dry completely. Don't forget to spray paint those silver hinge screws. Outline the top of the table onto the rattan webbing with a Sharpie or marker. Cut out the circle with some sharp scissors. Spray one side of the rattan with some spray adhesive. Spray the top of the table with spray adhesive as well and let it sit for a few seconds until the surface is tacky. Place and press the sticky side of the rattan circle onto the top of the table. Place some heavy books on top of the rattan. Use some sharp scissors to trim the excess rattan from the circle so you see the rim of the tabletop. Remove the books and style your new rattan side table beside your favorite piece of furniture. Do you have one of those dorm-style door mirrors? Let's give it an update. Tape off the mirror with paper and spray paint the wood frame with black spray paint. Let it dry completely and then remove the tape and paper. Remove any spray paint from the mirror that might have gotten onto the glass and then clean with some glass cleaner. Measure and cut some rattan webbing to fit the width of the mirror and a length that covers about 1/3 of the mirror's surface. Cut another piece as well that is the same width but is shorter in length to create a border for the top of the mirror. Spray one side of each rattan piece with spray adhesive. Place and press the rattan pieces onto each end of the glass on the mirror and place some heavy books on top for a couple of hours. Remove the books and hang your updated mirror on the wall. Grab the pump from a soap or lotion dispenser and tape off the tubing with paper. Spray paint the pump with some black spray paint. Let the pump dry completely by sticking the unwrapped tubing in some styrofoam. Did you know they make rattan ribbon? It's available at craft stores. Measure the circumference of the bottle and then measure out a piece of rattan ribbon with the same measurement. Run a bead of hot glue along one end of the ribbon and press onto the side of the dispenser. Wrap the ribbon around the bottle and hot glue the other end to the origin point of the ribbon. Screw the pump back into the dispenser and place your stylish new dispenser by a kitchen or bathroom sink. I hope this inspired you to update and elevate ordinary home decor with simple black paint and rattan webbing. Thanks for watching Home Talk. See you next time. Take 2 styrofoam blocks and glue them together. Take that wire hanger and bend it. Take 2 pipe cleaners and twist the ends together, wrapping the pipe cleaners up and around the hook. Start to stick the faux stems into the top and sides. Now take some faux flowers and stick them into the center face and hang your new flower arrangement.
We're going to start with this container, and we're going to simply just cut our brick in half. Now we can take our bricks of floral foam and wedge them inside. Up next we have some of these ferns, and simply wedge them right in the middle, fluffing them out, adjusting them. I'm just going to take our stems and work them into the foam. Now we have this really pretty eucalyptus. We'll just poke them right in. And here is how our arrangement turned out. I absolutely love it.
Clean the glass thoroughly. I'm going to just tape off the top of this glass, and then I'm going to just cover most of this with a thin layer of the clear resin, and just make sure you don't really miss any spots. I'm going to go ahead and place some flowers. Now that's all of my flowers there. I'm going to just take a toothpick and just carefully make sure they are pressed down, and that'll just seal these flowers in fully. Right, here's our wine glass all complete.
I've gone ahead and collected a whole bunch of these fun pom-poms and put a little dab of glue in there. The end of the wire right into the middle of the pom-pom. Got a bunch made here. And then I'm going to start bringing my sunflowers right around the tree. It's time to add those super fun pom-poms that we made at the beginning. Is make a little bow for the top. You wrap it around the top of the tree like this. It's a great way to use your tree at a different time of year.
I've pre-soaked 1 brick of fresh floral foam. We're going to just take that and wedge it in. Now begins the fun part, and that is going to be carving your foam into kind of a conical or triangular shape. Right here we have some mini carnations. So I'm just going to snip off the top and start placing them. So the biggest ones are sticking out the furthest, and then as we kind of approach the top, we are gradually getting smaller so that we kind of create that conical topiary shape. So to create the very peak of our topiary, we're going to take a carnation, place it sticking straight out, and then we can begin filling in. So I placed a few more pieces to fill in any of the holes where you still see the foam. You created the perfect centerpiece or arrangement for virtually anywhere you would like. And you can absolutely customize it to create whatever shape you're looking for.
Today I have been foraging in my garden. I'm just going to attach them lightly into place with this sticky tape. Just keep going all the way around. Cut off these extra bits on the bottom. Pull it quite tight. Put some glue stick on the glass and secure it in place. Rolling it all the way around. I'm just going to smear some of the glue here. Push the paper over. Put glue on the rim. Cut some of these top bits off and just see how pretty these are.
I grabbed 2 hanging baskets and liners from Dollar Tree for this epic garden project. I unclipped the chains off of one of the baskets and placed the liners in each basket. Next, I used sharp scissors to cut a slit in the middle of each section and in the center hole at the bottom. Then I grabbed some petunias from my local garden center and carefully placed them into each hole. Planting from the outside worked best for me. I set it aside and repeated the same steps for the second basket. Next, I filled the center of each basket with potting soil and watered it. I gently placed one basket on top of the other and secured them together using 4 black zip ties. At that point, I decided to add in a few more flowers on the edge where the baskets meet. Can you believe this is what mine looked like after 3 weeks?
Take a sealable plastic container and fill the bottom with clay unscented cat litter. Add salt to the top. Pour more cat litter onto the top. Mix the salt and cat litter together. Cut the stems on all of your flowers. Place the flowers into the litter, add salt to the top, put the lid on, and let it sit for about 5 days. Brush the salt off of your flowers. Mix up some resin. Slowly pour your resin into the mold. Place your flowers slowly into the poured resin. Pour your next layer of resin slowly on top of this. Remove it from the mold. Keepsakes to put more flower vases onto and use it as a centerpiece.
thought this would be the perfect time to share some of my favorite furniture painting hacks with you. I like to use little wooden blocks to raise the piece up off the tarp whenever I'm painting. Next up, I like to use a candle to protect some of the surfaces. I've popped this old candle into the microwave until it's soft, and I'm just going to take it and rub it on the edges of the piece and over the hardware. For a piece of furniture that has previously been painted, I like to use a nice thick paint to cover it. This is going to hide all the imperfections and adhere beautifully to the old surface. To paint the top of this piece, I'm actually going to use a wall sponge. I'm going to pour some of the gray paint I used on the side into a small tray and then run the sponge through it. The sponge allows me to cover the top quickly, and it makes a nice even finish without any brush strokes. While the top is drying, I'm going to go ahead and add a second coat to the rest of the piece. A second coat of paint always makes the finish look so much better. Now that the gray paint on the top is dry, I'm ready for my favorite hack. Glossy paint goes on a little more smoothly when you warm it up, so I'm going to take a pot, put my paint in the middle, and add some hot water around it. I'll be very careful not to get the water into my paint though. I've put on a pair of gloves now since the can's going to be a little warm to the touch, and after giving it a stir, I'm going to pour it all over the top of my piece. To smooth it out, I'm going to use the same sponge I used before. The glossy white paint is going to look incredible on the top when it dries. The last thing I need to do is take a sanding sponge to those edges and hardware where I rubbed the candle at the beginning. The wax from the candle protected those surfaces below and now allows me to add a little distressing without going right down to the wood. My sad little washstand has been completely transformed, and you wouldn't even know it was the same piece. I hope these hacks will help you with your next furniture painting project as well.
I grabbed some thrifted glassware for this brilliant garden decor. Then I grabbed some 2-part epoxy. I used a wood skewer to mix the epoxy and placed it around the bottom edge of one glass vase, then glued it to the bottom of the glass bowl. I set that aside and let it dry. I applied epoxy to the bottom of a different glass vase and placed the glass platter on top in the center. I grabbed the vase with the bowl and applied epoxy to the top and attached the third vase upside down, and applied epoxy to the top of the vase that is attached to the bowl, and I placed the other section on top. And now I have the most gorgeous glass bird bath. This project took minutes and cost under $30.
We've got some suet here. So all I did was melt this suet, and I did it in the microwave for about 3 minutes. So you use about twice as much of the bird mix, the seed mix, as you do the fat. There we go. You can see I've just mixed that up super simply. I'm just going to fill that up, fill that little teacup up, and I am just going to fill those. I'm going to take some teaspoons. I'm going to put these in here directly opposing the handle. Pull the string through like that. I have hung my little new cute teacups filled with these fat balls for those wild birds to come and feed on in this very snowy, very wintry weather.
So I've come back from the thrift store with a few items, and now I'm going to clean them up. For this first one, I'm going to be using Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint, and I've got a stencil brush here. Dip it into the paint, but then I'm going to offload a little bit of it here. So I'm going to go ahead and just continue around. I'm going to let them dry completely before the next step with these. For this next one, we're going to be using Pledge Floor Care Cleaner. Pour some of the Pledge Floor Cleaner into the glass base. Swirl the glass carefully so that it's all coated. I'm just going to use some snowy glitter, and I'm going to dump a healthy amount in here. Now we start swirling all the way around. I'm going to let it dry completely. Next, I'm going to use some green glitter. Same process, and I'm going to be using Folk Art enamel paint in the color Wicker White. For this last one, I'm going to leave them plain. So we're going to start with the cup, and I'm going to choose to have it go up and upside down. One is super glue, and put it on the edge all the way around. You place it on top. So I'm going to let this one dry, and we'll start adhering the other ones.
I hope this inspires you to take some thrift store items and flip them for your home and yard.
While I was at a flea market, I spied these license plates and knew I could do something with them. I wanted to make a flower, so I laid the license plate on a piece of white paper and cut it to size. Then I folded the paper in half and cut out half of a petal for my pattern and laid it on the back of the license plate and traced around it with a Sharpie. Using a tin snip, I cut it out. I turned up the edges with a plier. I also used a small paint can and rolled the plate along the can's edge to bend it. The center of the flower, I cut a plate in half, and then I cut out a circle. I made cuts into the center of the circle and bent the cuts upward. I drilled a hole in the center of the centerpiece and then drilled holes in the ends of each of the petals. I placed a bolt through each of the holes, and then using an electrical box cover, I drilled a hole in the center of that and one hole on each side of the center hole. I placed the bolt through the center hole and secured everything together with a nut. I threaded a cable tie through the two side holes in the box cover and then placed the plant stake around the bolt and secured it with the cable tie. I do love how it turned out, and I was proud of myself for figuring out how to attach the pieces together without using a soldering tool.
Place silicone on the bottom of your flower vase. Place your vase on the bottom of the saucer of the teacup. Place silicone on the bottom of the teacup and place the teacup on the saucer. Let the whole thing dry for 24 hours. Screw the 1/2-inch copper male adapter into the 1/2-inch galvanized floor flange. Next, you'll E6000 your copper elbow into the male adapter. Use silicone to adhere the floor flange onto the bottom of the teapot. Let that dry for 24 hours as well. Place silicone in the spout of the teapot and place a crystal into the silicone and let that dry. Measure the copper pipe and mark it with a Sharpie where you'd like to cut it. We used a copper tube cutter to cut the pipe where we wanted it to be cut. Place 2 garden stakes in the ground or in a large flower pot. Place the copper pipe over the garden stakes. Place the teacup on the shorter copper pipe and place the teapot on the taller copper pipe. Your garden art is ready to be enjoyed. I hope this inspired you to make some garden art for your own yard or garden. Head on over to the dollar store and grab a few items for these amazing hacks. Let's get started. Place about 1 cup of cola product into your toilet bowl. Let it sit for a few minutes, then scrub your toilet. This will remove all rings and grime from your toilet. After scrubbing, flush it and your toilet should be clean. Place a container. I'm using a vinegar container. This is taking up some space in your toilet tank, so you're conserving water with every flush. Grab a packet of Kool-Aid the next time you're at the store, tear the top off, and place it into the water of the toilet tank. Use a scrub brush, scrub it around, and then flush. Kool-Aid has citric acid in it that will help clean the toilet tank, and it has a nice lemon fresh scent. The screws in our toilets sometimes will rust over time. One way to stop this is by grabbing some clear fingernail polish. Place the nail polish over each screw to seal it and protect it from further rusting. Grab some paper towels and some vinegar. Take the vinegar and wet the paper towel with it, fold it up, and place it under the rim of your toilet. Let it sit overnight. Then when you remove it in the morning, all of that grime underneath the rim will be much easier to clean off. Grab some baby oil and rub the toilet handle with it. This will make your toilet handle shine bright. Poke a small hole or two into the container. Now, every time you flush your toilet, a little bit of the antibacterial cleaner will be released. It will also help it smell fresh. Start by placing about a tablespoon of baking soda, a packet of Kool-Aid, and a little bit of water. Mix together and shape into a ball. Drop the toilet bomb into the toilet and let it fizz to dissolve. Once you're finished, grab your toilet brush and start cleaning. The citric acid as well as the baking soda will scrub and clean your toilet bowl. Flushed and it's nice and clean.
You're going to go to your toilet, take off the back of the lid, take some Kool-Aid and dump it in the tank in the back. We're checking for leaks. That goes into the toilet bowl. If you see any discoloration, especially lines running down the bowl, you know that it's leaking and it's time to repair it and get a new flapper.
I did some research and I found out there was a better germ killer and way to clean my toilet. The magic ingredient is hydrogen peroxide, and it needs to be no more than 3%. Put your hydrogen peroxide in a squirt bottle. Hydrogen peroxide contains antimicrobial ingredients and is very biodegradable. Spray the inside of your toilet with the hydrogen peroxide. Make sure to get under the lip of the toilet. Pour about a half cup to 1 cup into your toilet and let it soak. Pull off the lid of your tank and pour 1/2 to 1 cup in there as well. Cleaning from top to bottom is usually the best order to clean your toilet. You can use paper towels, or if you'd like to be more eco-friendly, you can use an old rag that you'll launder appropriately to disinfect it. Spray the lid of your toilet tank and wipe it down. Next, spray and wipe the tank and be sure to clean the handle well. If you can, remove the toilet seat. We have a fantastic toilet lid that you twist to unlock and they pop right off. If you cannot remove your toilet lid, simply lift it and continue to the next. Use a toilet cleaner brush of your choice and scrub out the bowl. Be sure to scrub well under the lip. Flush your toilet once you are done with this step. Your toilet seat back on. Spray and clean the lid. Spray and clean the bottom of the lid and the hinges. Spray and clean the toilet seat. Clean the bottom of your toilet seat. Spray and wipe the bottom of your toilet. There are a lot of nooks and crannies here, so be sure to get them off. Remove the small cap that hides the screws holding your toilet seat down and clean that area as well. Clean the cap before returning it back into place. Your toilet is now clean. I hope this inspires you to clean your toilet from top to bottom with hydrogen peroxide.
Grab some shaving cream from the dollar store. Sometimes odors sneak out from the bottom of our toilets. Take the shaving cream and spray it all along the crease of your toilet. With your rubber glove, spread it on so it covers and seals that whole opening. Let it set for approximately 10 minutes. You've now eliminated odors that were hiding underneath of your toilet between the seal and the toilet tank.
We're going to go to the grout on the floor. Oh, it gets so dirty. All you have to do is take some toilet bowl cleaner, especially the gel formula. Go ahead and place it on the grout and let it sit there for about 5 minutes. Go ahead and grab you one of those old toothbrushes and you're going to give it a good scrubbing and you're going to start seeing the color change. Grab a sponge, wipe it all up, and look at the difference. It restored that grout to its original color. How about a shower head that doesn't work correctly or has rust stains on it? What you have is mineral deposits inside the shower head. Just take a baggie, pour some vinegar in there. Take that bag, place it over your shower head, secure it with a clip or a rubber band, and you're going to let it sit overnight. As you can see on the next day, a lot of that mineral deposits came through and is sitting in the bag. Remove the bag, go ahead and take a sponge, wipe it all off. It gets rid of the rust stains, and look at that. That shower head works perfectly.
40 years ago, my grandma painted this wonderful painting, and I want it to last forever and make it a keepsake. Now we're going to start on one corner of the painting, and we're going to go to all 4 corners. We've got to measure so we can build our frame around the back. On the top, it's 19 inches, and what we're going to need is 2 pieces. We've got to cut these at a 45-degree angle to match the bevel of the painting. So we start with one end, cut it, measure the 19 inches, and we're going to also cut a 45-degree corner on that piece. Remember, we got to cut 2 pieces. Once you get it cut, check to make sure it's nice and 45 degrees with all of it. Now it's time for the nails. I love using air guns, and so the nails had to be just enough to go through them all. Easy to use, just load them in the gun, and then we're going to put some glue on all the ends. Nails work great, but the glue is also going to make it strong. Put all the corners together, and as you can see, they line up really nice, especially if you cut them right in the beginning. So we're going to use the nail gun, and we're going to do all the corners. You can use 2 or 3 into each side, but once you get it together and the glue dries, it's going to make it super strong. Now it's time to put some shelves in. I want to put one piece right up the middle, cut it, put it in, and then we're going to build 2 little shelves. Hold these together with some brad nails also. We're going to go ahead and sand it. Sanding is a great way for the stain to go ahead and penetrate the wood, and you can get rid of all the lettering on this board. This is a 1x3, so the painting won't stick out too far from the wall. Once you get it sanded up, it's time to stain. Go ahead and choose the color that closely matches the frame color that you're going to put this on. Once you do it, go ahead and use a brush, or I like to use a towel. I can dip it and it goes a lot farther than using a brush. Also, if it gets too thick or too thin, I can just wipe on more or less. If you have any excess stain, make sure you wipe it off. Now it's time to get some hinges. I wanted to use some decorative hinges, and what I'm going to do on the frame is mark it and drill it out. It takes the screws better, and I won't worry about splitting the wood. When we put them on, if you pre-drill and you do it with the right size drill bit, you don't have to use the drill to put the screws on. You can just use a screwdriver. Now once it's on the frame, go ahead and drop it on the frame right there, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing and drill it out. Put the screws in. Once you get them nice and tight, it's time to put that hanger back on. Just go ahead and nail those little nails right in, and then we can hang it on the wall. Once it's hung up, now we've got the shelves in, and it makes a great location for all your keepsakes, especially for me, anything that has to do with my grandmother. This thing will make a wonderful keepsake, and it's something that I can pass down from generation to generation. I can't wait to give it to one of my daughters someday. And the great thing, it's a great showpiece. From the front, it looks absolutely great, and on the side, it doesn't stick too far from the wall. I hope you enjoyed this DIY project as much as I did making it. Thank you for watching Home Talk, and we'll see you next time.